Good evening everyone. Let me know if you can hear me okay. And then we shall start. Okay, good. Okay, this is going to be quite informal. This isn't going to be a big, huge production. So I'll start with the format of how this is going to work. So to start off, I have taken a few snippets from the criticism thread, and I'm going to be reading out some parts and then basically just replying to those and telling you why I did things, what I'll change, etc. And after I have gone through everything in the thread, that is everything that I want to reply to, I'll then maybe be taking some questions from people in the chat. If I didn't answer or quote your post in the thread, it might just be because it's a repeat of something that someone's already said, so there's no point going over it twice. Alright, so I've got a big list in front of me and we're going to go through it one by one. I'll read the passage, give my point of view, then I'll move on to you guys in the chat and you can respond to it. And remember, I'm about 10 or 20 seconds behind or something, so if there's a bit of silence after I've said my bit, that's why. So is everyone cool with that? Here's the silence. Right, let's go for it then. I don't want to start it negatively because this isn't going to be a negative thing. This isn't going to be me saying, oh, you're wrong and all this sort of thing. But the first one I'm going to quote is from a guy who posted on the forums, just to get out of the way the sort of thing that I'm not going to be replying to. Because this one post that someone made had two really bad points in it. So this is the first one I'm going to address. The first thing that he said was, Scorpion hasn't been putting on his usual quality of matches. The point of the criticism thread is to be constructive, and it's meant to be things that I can do something about. It's AI. If he's not putting on a good match, there's nothing I can do about that. So there you go. And another thing he also said was, the Saiyans are boring as shit. And it's fair enough to have an opinion if you don't like a character or anything, but if you were to say maybe Grey Fox or Ness, which everyone agrees is boring and hasn't made a big impact, fair enough, but the thread isn't meant to be for, as Desublade put in the original post, he put it's not meant to be for fan booking and things like that. So any posts like I don't like X character, I'm not going to be replying to. Right, first one. Oh, actually, before I got on to answering people's questions and stuff, I wanted to address the last season, because there was a lot of negativity around how I did the plot scenes and things like that. So I wanted to get that out of the way, just so people understand why I did the things that I did. So the whole idea was Protoman and Grey Fox were going to fight off all the robot masters one by one. If they were to defeat one of them, they would gain their weapon. That robot master would be de-roboticized and they would carry on fighting other people. The original plan was if they lost, that was it. They would just have to try again. Maybe if Protoman lost, Grey Fox would have to step in and he would try instead. But then realizing that if I did that, the season could last forever. It would end up with no one winning and they would just be roboticized forever. So that's why I came with the idea of having them defeated in plot. And that was met with a lot of negativity. People didn't like them still winning even though they lost the match. So yeah, it was kind of an idea that I had that was executed badly. But there's not much I could do about that. It was either have them win the matches and hope that they do, or just not do the whole winning through plot thing, and then the season would last fucking ages. And it was already the longest season as it was, so there wasn't really much I could have done with it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about that. It's just I had to do the best that I could. Right, now let's move on to the first few segments. Right, so this one comes from, I don't know how to say this, Pyrrhic Pyrrhic Kong. And he has said, the first 3 matches are usually whatever, I hope this is good, then a tag match, and then plot happens. That is the basic gist of how shows usually go. I do put in random matches at the start, just because, as I've said a few times before, there has to be random matches out there for random feuds to just happen. Like we all know how the Zangief and Little Mac feud happened, I've said it a billion times. Things can happen in matches that you don't expect, and it could lead to good opportunities for feuds to happen. And without me actually throwing some random matches out there, it's an impossibility for that to happen. So that's the reason why I do have random matches in the start. And usually, a lot of the time actually, the curtain jerk is the best match of the night. I don't know if that's just because people get bored towards the end of the night because there's been so many matches or what, but that's why I do that, and it's probably going to stay that way. The tag team match, the reason that happens halfway through is just because of how the game's programmed. You can't have a tag team match with tag entrances unless it happens at the start of the created story. I can pre-record entrances, but that's, you know, it's a lot of faff for the sake of just putting it somewhere different in the card. I don't think it's that important, so that's why tag matches always happen in the second half. But I will be throwing some other tag matches in there. I have done a few times. But yeah, right, let's move. Oh, I've meant to be looking at the chat actually after I'm answering questions. Yeah, has anyone got anything they want to say about random matches at the start and whatnot? So if you have, now's the time, and then I will move on. Yeah, Zero Crescent has made a good point actually. Leaving the more important matches and plot scenes till later helps if people turn up late. Sometimes people might forget VGCW's on and they might tune in a bit late and they'll miss stuff. So yeah, that's a good point. Right, I think everyone's pretty much happy with that, so let's move on. Where am I? The next one comes from Free the Dose, and he has wrote, new people really do need to get called up more. Sabin's return was nice and all, but VGCW really needs to start bringing in new talent. There are some guys in the roster that just need to be let go and replaced instead of trying to save them from being fired. I agreed, definitely need some call-ups. Excuse me. I'll address that part a bit later actually, but as regards to replace people instead of trying to save them, I don't 100% agree on that, because just look at Guile for example. Guile is the perfect example actually. He's someone that was voted by a lot of people to get rid of, and now he's probably the top heel of the company, and I think a lot of people find him fun to watch. So I don't want to just give up on someone and chuck them out without giving them a chance. I mean, if they've had a lot of plot in the past and they're still not interesting, then yeah, sure, I can get rid of them. But if they've not had plot before, or a lot of it, then I would rather try and get some interest in them before I chuck them out the door. Let's go over to the chat, see if anyone's got anything to say about that. Don't think there is much to be said about that, to be honest. Yeah, let's just move on to the next one. Right. A lot of people have asked this actually, so this isn't from any one person in particular. But a lot of people are asking why was an airman involved in the last season. And there is no major reason why he weren't involved. It wasn't really his thing. He had his own thing going on with the casual title, and he's only really a sort of extended part of the practice team. He wouldn't have fit in with the plot. There was nothing much I could have done with him, but he will be involved next season, and the whole why was an airman involved thing will be addressed in the show, so just wait and see where that goes. Right, next one is probably a very big one, and that's EDBW needs call-ups. And this is a huge issue. I completely agree 100% with everyone. It's not that I don't want to call people up, I do. I would love to get some new talent on the show and some new interesting characters, and it's always just hype as shit when you hear that here comes a new challenger soundbite and someone comes out and there's all sorts of new matches you wouldn't have seen before. The legit honest reason why I don't call up people from EDBW is because, like the women's division and my show and everything else, EDBW starts at 11 o'clock at night in England, and I work early shifts. I do a retail job and I'm up usually at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I can't be staying up late at night watching EDBW, then ending up going to bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning with only 4 hours sleep. My job entails a lot of ambulance going by, let's just let that go. Yeah, my job involves a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of moving around, a lot of carrying stuff, so I need to be well rested in order to do it. So it's difficult. I really don't know what to do about that. I can sometimes tune in and watch like maybe half hour or something, but it's just difficult. I don't know what to do about that. I don't want to ask John to start doing his show a few hours early because that's not fair on him or everyone else, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to try and catch some YouTube recordings maybe, but like people have said in the past, watching the YouTube recordings isn't really the same. You can't really get as interested in it. So maybe I'll have to pick someone and they can be the EDBW representative and tell me who's going over and who's not. We'll have to figure something out, but I know it's a huge problem and I do want to get people called up, so we'll figure something out. Right, the next one I've got is the Robot Master plot felt too formula. Yeah, I've already addressed that. Don't know why I've got that twice. Everyone in the chat saying, see, that's a problem as well. Some people are saying Dante, but there's also people who don't want people that have been in VGCW before. They want brand new people. Like I brought in Ness before and people weren't happy about that. So I don't know if I'll be bringing back people that were in the show before. Buffcat asks, where do I send questions? I'm going to be taking questions from the chat once I've read everything from this list I've got, Buffcat, so just stick around. Freeox says, it strikes me as easy enough to see what the buzz is on the forums. Yeah, but again, I don't have time to sit on the forums every day and read every single character thread and read the whole EDBW thread. Have got things to do outside of VGCW, and it's time consuming having to read all that. I mean, I've already stopped going to Something Awful, I've already stopped going to NeoGAF, I've stopped reading the forums there, just because it's just too much. I could be reading stuff all day, so it just depends on what time I've got. Right, let's move on. The tag belt is just one with no real gravity to it anymore, and that's very disappointing. And that comes from Firikong again, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, that was pretty abysmal last season with the tag team division. The problem with that is when we was deciding on who should be roboticized for the story in that season, the characters chosen were based on which cores would be easy to translate into a robot and which ones wouldn't be too complicated or just look weird, for example. So that's why we chose who we chose. Like, if you look at Wario, it's very simple patterns, and if you look at, well, any of the Robot Masters, there isn't, you know, there wasn't any big details like on their clothes that they had to recreate or anything like that. So when I decided on characters that I wanted, I sort of neglected to check if they were involved in anything like tag teams. So after that was all made, then that's when the backlash sort of happened, and I realised that I took out a lot of tag teams just by doing that. And what made it worse is I had the Dragons, Billy and Jimmy, I had them injured in plot, which reduced the tag team division even further. But good thing is, next season, nearly all of those tag teams, I guess apart from Safety Valve, will be coming back. So there'll be a much richer tag team division. Plus, I'm also going to bring in 4 new tag teams. They're tag teams made up of people that are already on the roster, that have just formed a new alliance together. It's not going to be call-ups or tag team exclusive or anything like that. So there's going to be a lot more interesting tag team stuff going on. And I need names for those teams actually, but I think I'll discuss with the guys on Skype about that, because I want to keep them a bit secret for now. So yeah, 4 new tag teams, and all the old tag teams have gotten back together, so it's going to be a lot better. Right, this one is from JCW555, and he says, I guess what I'm trying to say is the overarching plot shouldn't overshadow everything else, and I'm afraid that the Nightmare Gabe plot will too. Regarding Nightmare Gabe, I don't like to give away things about the upcoming seasons, because I like people to watch it and just find out what happens. But just to put people's minds at rest about Gabe being overexposed and being a big, massive part of the plot. The whole idea behind Nightmare Gabe wasn't actually to make him this big thing with the next season, like he's going to be everywhere. This was actually a way to write off Gabe for a while. He will be appearing in the next season, but it won't be that often. He'll probably be in the first couple of episodes and maybe make the odd appearance or two as time goes on. And he'll probably be at Endgame, what are we up to, 9? Endgame 9. But he's not going to be a big thing in the next season. You won't see much of him. Right, let's move on to the next one. The tag scene in general. I understand that the robot plot took a bunch of team. I've already answered this and I've got it down again. This one's from Prozac. He also goes on to say, Mystical Ninjas versus DK Crew 3 and Saiyans versus DK Crew 3 are 2 matches that flat out didn't need to happen. VGCW's always been whoever wins, wins. And with a very small tag team roster, which I addressed earlier, it was bound to happen. You was bound to get tag teams overlapping. I sat there like scratching my head when I was writing the episodes, trying to figure out who I could put in a tag team match this time, and you just have to work with what you got. But like I said before, it'll be a lot better next season, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Right, what we got next? This is also from Prozac. Gabe has been too much plot, almost everything. I've already addressed that. So let's move on. Right, this is a good one actually. This is from Prozac again. He's wrote, why was Sonic not involved within the robot plot when it was tailor-made for him? He didn't even appear as the conquering hero. He just peaced out and left. Right, there was a reason for that. It was actually because Sonic is quite unpopular in VGCW. A lot of people don't like him. He gets a lot of boos. People just generally dislike Sonic. I didn't want to force him into the plot because the only real way to do that is to have him on the face side fighting against the practice. And the thing is, where he's getting heat right now, it is very difficult for someone to get heat in a virtual wrestling thing. So if Sonic is coming across as a heel to people, I'm going to roll with that. I'm not going to force him to be a heel and try and get over. I've actually been using Sonic and his heat to try and benefit other characters. People don't really usually notice when I do things like this, but if you look at the last few matches that Sonic fought, he fought Reno, M. Bison, Ness and Abisumaru. And if you think about those characters, Reno, M. Bison and Abisumaru, they're all quite popular characters. People like them, they like to see them fight, they want to see more of them. And the best way to get them over is to have them fighting against someone who people don't like, hence them fighting Sonic. And it works well for both of them, because if Sonic wins, he gets even more heat, which is great because we need heels in VGCW. It's hard to write heel. And if they win, they get a big win, and everyone's happy that their favourite beat a character that they dislike. As for Ness and why he was pitted against Sonic, Ness, as I mentioned earlier, hasn't been met with a very positive view from people. So I pit Ness against Sonic to try and get him over with the fans. So yeah, I do put more thought into the booking than people realise, even in cases like that. So yeah, I've got a plan for, well, that was the plan for Sonic. He was a heel in people's eyes. There was no reason to force him into the robot master plot scene. He is what he is, and we just rolled with it. The Toe says he's taking notes so people can read this later. Thank you very much, Toe. Yeah, regarding everything I just said about Sonic and, well, everything then, I'll go over to the chat and see what everyone has to say. I'm not taking those kind of questions yet, Buffcat. I'm going to be doing that at the end. I was just asking for questions regarding what I just said. Was it necessary for 4 matches in a row? I guess not. I didn't think it was that much of a problem, him being booked for 4 weeks in a row. But okay, I guess I won't do that again with anyone. Right, again, I'm not answering unrelated questions until the end, triple factorial, so just save that till the end. Okay, everyone's just asking random questions, so I'm just going to move on. Where were AVGN, Waluigi and Octodad to help save their partners / friends? And that also comes from Prozac. That was just because, as the saying goes, too many cooks spoil the broth. If I had all of those roboticized characters' friends trying to get involved and help them, there would be just tiny bits of plot dotted around all over the place, and there wouldn't have been enough build up for one particular face. That's why I just focused on mainly Protoman and Grey Fox. I just wanted like one main story for that story arc, and that was pretty much it. If I go quiet, it's just because I'm looking at the chat. And yeah, as for AVGN in particular, after the whole tag title reign that he had for quite a long time, and he had quite a lot of VGCW championship #1 contender matches and so on, he was definitely someone not to put in the plot, because he was on the cusp of being overexposed, so he was fine where he was. Right, moving on. Again from Prozac. He has written, "Not every match feels important. They're not meant to. Not every match has to be a big thing with a feud going on. Remember, wrestling is considered a sport or sports entertainment. Sometimes it's just people fighting each other for that very reason. They're just testing each other's might and having a match. Not every match has to feel important. If I wrote every single match ever in every episode into plot, it would be literally impossible. I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know why you would expect every match to be important." Right, what else have we got? Again from Prozac. The biggest offender of this was the endgame rumble. Neither a rumble or endgame match should feel like filler, but that's exactly what it was. Everyone likes a Royal Rumble. It's just there for fun. If it felt like filler, maybe it was, but there's no other reason for it. Royal Rumbles are fun. It was an endgame. There's a lot of people there. Why not give people a Royal Rumble to watch? Yeah, there's no other reason for it. It's just sometimes matches are just there for fun. It doesn't have to be written in or booked in, or it doesn't have to be a big build up all the time. Sometimes we just throw things in just for fun. Right, where else have we got? This one comes from Wyvernil. After a title defence, the next contenders match should be the very next week at the latest. I actually disagree with this one. I think if there's going to be title match, contenders match, title match, contenders match, it'll be a hot potato championship again. So I think if anything, the best formula would be contenders match, then the next show would be plot and build up, and then a title match. But then again, it doesn't have to be that early. I might put maybe two shows between them. It just depends on what's going on. It doesn't have to follow a magic formula. Yeah, sorry, I live right near a police station and a hospital, so I'm right between both of them. They're constantly going up and down, so sorry about that. And also Cesaro lives next door. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Should there be more contenders matches? Should they be every other week? What do you guys think? At the very least, Bazza, I think champions should be in some non-title matches on occasion. I agree, and I've actually got something on my notes about that cryptic, which I'll talk about later. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Contenders matches should be 2 to 3 shows after pay-per-views. There's only like 2 pay-per-views per season, so that wouldn't be enough. Yeah, I agree with you, Delphionic. Just mix it up. As I said, it doesn't have to be a set cycle, just whenever it feels right. Right, let's move on. Oh, I'm onto that part already, Cryptic. This one says, the occasional non-title match might help as well, and that is also from Y Vanille. Yeah, I can do that, and I should do that. I should put more non-title matches in. The reason I haven't been doing many non-title matches is a very, very WWE reason, which is pretty bad. And that's the fear of the champion losing and looking weak. So he could go into like the title match and people be like, oh, he lost the last match, he's not that strong anymore. But well, that's what VGCW is meant to be. It's meant to be what happens happens. So okay, I will put in more non-title matches. That will definitely happen. No more WWE style booking bullshit. Let's go over to the chat. Yeah, I agree, English. If it is a win or loss, it's still character development for the champion, so I'm going to lay off the whole worrying about if they look weak or strong or whatever. And as I said before, what happens will happen. So yeah, there'll be more non-title matches. I'm not doing a champ versus champ match ever between the casual and VGCW championship. I think that would be a really bad idea. It would just, if the casual champion beat the VGCW champion, it would just throw everything into complete weirdness, so I'm never going to do that. Right, let's move on. Where are we? This one comes from Desublade, and he has written, as promising as the robot plot was at the start, in taking a number of people who were stuck in limbo of not being popular, it didn't benefit them. I don't really understand that, because not everything that happens has to benefit someone. It was never meant to benefit any of the people that got roboticized. It was just pure plot, it was just fun. So yeah, and of course the robot versions were stronger than their normal versions, so even if they did keep winning matches, it doesn't really reflect the actual non-robot wrestler. So that's pretty much my answer to that. Right, next we have from Mac Screwed Mac. We have, nothing from the past is ever brought up. I don't really get that. I know I definitely have referenced things that have happened in the past in VGCW, but if there's no reason to bring stuff up, then why would I? It's not like I'm going to have Mr. L walk in, or Luigi walk in and say, hey, remember when I was Mr. L? If there's not a reason to bring something up, I'm not going to bring something up. There's no reason for it. He's also wrote, Nappa and Flint fighting together as robots was a good opportunity to mention their past. I don't think that was needed either. That seems like... It's like Fandango from the WWE. When he first come along, everyone was fandangoing and doing his little dance. and it got over with the crowd, and as soon as the WWE noticed this, they decided to jump on it and mention it. I remember they had Jerry Lawler jump in the ring and start saying, hey, everyone's Fandango in, and he tried to get the whole crowd doing it, and it was just weird. I don't think it needs to be shoehorned in. When we had Flint and Nappa fight together as a tag team, as robots, you all knew what was going on. You knew it was a little reunion. I didn't need to make a big song and dance about it and bring up their past in plot. It was just a subtle thing. Everyone knew the reference. It doesn't need to be shoved in your face. So yeah, I don't really understand that question fully, but I'm not going to bring up past things that happened for no reason. Right, next from ETAP we have the season also saw a heel turn from Protoman at the end that felt like it's been a long time coming, but probably could have used a couple more shows for setting it up to make sense. No, actually the Protoman heel turn wasn't a long time coming really. It was just one of those things where the story is dictated by the viewers, by the chat, by yourselves basically. There was a lot of heat on Protoman for winning matches in cutscenes, like when he climbed up the ladder and jumped onto the table and defeated Nappa, I think it was. So people was getting angry at that, so he was sort of getting second-hand heat from that. So no one was liking the storyline and how it was going, and people were getting annoyed with Protoman, so I decided, let's use that in plot. Gabe said what everyone else was thinking and how it was annoying watching him try to beat the Robot Masters and failing, and he wanted him to stop, just like everyone else did. So I rolled with it, and that's exactly what you got at the end. Protoman was annoyed that all his hard work was met with negativity, so he thought, fuck it, why am I helping you? And he switched sides. So it wasn't really a long time coming, it was a last minute decision which was dictated by how things were going. So let's look at the chat and see what you guys are saying about that. And yeah, Protoman being the protagonist for the last season was another example, like Guile, for trying to get someone who people aren't particularly that interested in and seeing if I can turn them around. Yeah, here's a nice watch and some peanuts. That was actually a South Park reference. That's a line they used in South Park, which I just thought would be funny to use. Stalefishes is right. I don't think there was enough time to set up the heel turn. I disagree with that actually, because I felt no one saw it coming, which made it a better impact. If I built it up and slowly hinted that he was going to turn heel, I don't think it would have been as big of an impact at Endgame when he came out and hit the Proto Buster on Adam Jensen. So I think I stand by how I handled that. Oh, scroll up so I don't miss that. Carfulu, the thing you just mentioned about Dracula, about how he was saying I'll win the title, rare, and never heard of again. I will mention that there was a good reason why I did that cutscene, but I'll bring that up. I think it's one of the last things that I'll talk about, so I'll bring that up later. Right, let's move on. Kirby Damster wrote, I'd like to see the return of VGCW versus WWE. I keep forgetting. That's it. That's the only reason why I don't do those matches. I completely forget that I came up with that whole thing. So, oh, Kirby just wrote that in the chat at the same time I'm reading it. But yeah, I will be doing more. I just keep forgetting to book them. Someone remind me. Just poke me with a fucking stick on Twitter or something and just remind me. I don't know. There'll be more. I just need to remember. Right. This next one isn't from anyone in particular, but this is something that I've seen a few times people saying. It's not a lot of people, but I'm going to mention it in a way. But I've had a few people say Bazza can't write good heals. And maybe I can't, maybe you're right and I can't write good heals. But you need to understand what it's like trying to create a heel in a virtual wrestling show. And I'm going to use an example from, I think it was Raw or a pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view. There was a battle royal going on, and the winner would win the Intercontinental Championship. The Miz, who is a heel, if you're not familiar with WWE, he was thrown out of the ring, but he wasn't eliminated because he went under the bottom rope, I think, or through the middle rope, one or the other, and he stayed outside the ring for the whole Rumble, basically until people completely forgot that he was there. And he came back into the Rumble right at the very end when Dolph Ziggler thought he won. So the Miz threw Dolph Ziggler out of the ring and he won the match, and he got a lot of heat for it. And if you sort of look at it objectively, he got heat for many reasons. The reasons being, the first one is he sort of cheated to win, which pissed people off. And again, in VGCW, I generally don't do that. I have all the matches end as clean as possible. So yeah, the first way he got heat was he cheated to win. The second way is after he won, he had that annoying smug look on his face. He was celebrating in the ring. You look at his face and you think, oh, you prick. That's something, again, that I can't do in VGCW. I can't manipulate their face. I can't do set animations. I'm stuck with the animations that the game allows me to do. And the third way he got heat was from Dolph Ziggler. After he thought he had finally won himself a title, he was outside, sitting on the ground, leaning against the barricade. He had his head in his hands, he was looking disappointed, he was upset. And that's another thing, I can't do that in VGCW. Everything that I do to write someone as a heel in VGCW is through dialogue. I can't really do much visual things without interrupting matches, and I don't want to go the WWE route of having run-ins and match interruptions and DQ finishes and that sort of thing. It has to be done in dialogue. And the problem with that, it all being dialogue, is think of when you read a book, for example. If you read a book and there's a character in it and they say, I don't know, they say the word hey to someone, H-E-Y. The book will then follow it up by saying something like, hey, said Dylan with an angry look on his face. Or it might say, hey, said Dylan, happy to see his new friend again. It lets you know in the book how they're feeling. It lets you realise their emotions. But, you know, I can't write VGCW like a book. So how I write the dialogue is down to people's interpretation. So it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to get heat just from dialogue. But then think about when you play a Mega Man game or when you play Sonic the Hedgehog. When you're fighting against Dr. Wily or Dr. Eggman or any villain in any game, you're not fighting against Dr. Wily and thinking, oh, I really hate this guy, they've done a good job at making me hate Dr. Wily. You don't, it's just the villain of the game and you're just fighting him. So people really need to see VGCW in the same way as like it's a video game and not actual wrestling. you don't really need to get a lot of heat for someone. You just really need to know that that's the bad guy, that's the good guy, and they oppose each other. Because think about this, if I do something in VGCW to make you hate someone, people aren't going to be saying, oh, I hate the way Dracula did that. Everyone always says the same thing, oh, I hate the way Bazza booked that. So instead of the character getting heat, it will be me getting heat. So just try to think of the whole heel thing from a different perspective. It's not difficult, it is difficult to get them heat and make you hate them, so don't think of it from a wrestling point of view. Let's go over to the chat and see what people are saying about that. If anyone's got any opinions about what I just said, suggestions, whatever, just let me know now. Illidan had a particular personality in Warcraft 3. I assume you haven't played it. I have played it many years ago, can't remember much of it. Using Gary to push him was really a compromise. Any plans to let him come on his own? At the moment I'm happy letting Gary do his thing, because I think Illidan is quite a bland character in terms of personality. So I think pairing him excuse me, I think pairing him with Gary is working well for the moment. I don't think there's a reason to break them up right now. Still reading chat, so excuse the silence. I didn't catch what Bryn said, Belmont. I missed that. If you can copy paste that, that'd be swell. Editing is possible, I've done it, but it takes a lot of time. It's why I'm happy that my show isn't every week sometimes. Yeah, it is possible to do some editing, but not to the extent to make it, as I said earlier, about, you know, Dolph Ziggler being on the floor with his hands on his head, that sort of thing. You can only really do what you have with the cutscenes. And I don't have time to do a lot of editing in VGCW. I can do video editing, which you've seen me do. You've seen me play a lot of edited videos in the past, but it's like you said, it's all to do with time. I work full time. I've got other commitments besides VGCW, and I don't want VGCW to overtake my life. I just do whatever I can with the time I've got. I think, I don't know, it's like people are expecting a bit too much. This is only a humble, small little Twitch show that I do, so just take it as what it is. I do try my best to mix things up a bit. Right, let's move on. Right, I think I've already addressed this, but let's just go over it anyway. Right, this one is from Firuk Kong. And he said, please fix the tag division. It's kind of been a joke since Game Center FU dropped the belts. Despite the Saiyans having a good many defenses and looking strong, there's no prestige to it. There's no prestige to the belt that Game Center or Grudy Skies brought to it. I know the tag was really given. Damn, this fucking spelling and grammar. The 5 teams that are available. I can barely read your post, I'm sorry. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there'll be more tag teams involved in the next season. All the old tag teams that were roboticized are now back together, and we're adding 4 new tag teams, so the tag team division will be looking a lot better. It'll be a lot more fresh and that sort of thing. Let's move on. I think this is the final one. It's probably the biggest one. Right. This one comes from Desublade, and it says the way Bazza handles his champions is not very good. Actually says is very not good, whatever. I get that most of the plot time will be used for the overarching plot of the season, but it comes at the cost of not establishing the champions, and that's something that needs to change. For example, Scorpion has had all but 1 plot scene in his tenure as VGCW champion. I don't get why there isn't some sort of dedication to establishing the champions in VGCW. It comes off as a title meaning absolutely nothing, since you're not getting more screen time, you're getting less. I completely agree, 100%, and that is going to change. There's going to be, the main focus is going to be the titles again. The reasoning I had between not having the titles in plot and having the spotlight on them is, I obviously wrongly thought that it would be enough just them having the titles. I thought if they've got the titles, they've got their own thing going on, I can give plot to other characters, so now there's more than one thing going on. But I completely agree. This is something that a lot of people have posted about in the criticism thread. Many people. It's probably the biggest issue that people have with the show, and I will be changing that. The titles will be taking the spotlight over anything else. They will probably be equal to the plot in the season, but I will definitely be fixing that. As someone mentioned earlier in the chat, they asked about Dracula and why he had that cutscene about him saying he wanted another VGCW title shot, and people were wondering why he had that cutscene, because title shots are always given to whoever wins a contenders match. I never had any intention of giving Dracula another title shot. The whole reason Dracula said that was just to try to give more prestige to the title, just like you guys wanted. It was just to establish that the VGC title was important. And I had that in another cutscene, I can't remember with who, but there was another scene where there was 2 people talking about how they wanted to be champion, but again they never had any contenders match or anything. So I have been trying to get the titles over as important, but obviously not enough for what you guys want. So 100% that will be changing. I'll be putting the championship back in video game championship wrestling. And yeah, Toe's written, I think it's not a champion but a challenger too. I'd like to see confrontation between the 2. They just feel separated until the match happens. Yeah, that's what I mean by I'll be putting more emphasis on it. Both of them, the champion and the contender, they will both be getting plot scenes, talking to each other or about each other, interacting, all that. I'm going to have more emphasis on that, definitely, because that seems to be the biggest issue. So yeah, just expect more of that. I'll go over to the chat. Is there anything anyone wants to say about that matter? And this goes for Tag Team Championship too, because someone earlier mentioned how the tag titles didn't seem important. I'm going to be putting a lot more emphasis on the tag titles, especially with the 4 new tag teams coming in. I'm going to try to make them feel much more important than they felt in the past. Yeah, some people have always asked why I have, at endgame, why I have the title match and then the plot match. I've never done that just because of me thinking the plot's been more important. Sometimes it just makes more sense that way. Like at the last endgame, if I had Gabe turning into Nightmare Gabe and then a tag title match afterwards, it would have felt weird. It wouldn't have felt normal, so that's why I did that. Still reading the chat, so I apologise for the silence. Right, that is everything from my notes that I wanted to address. So in a second, not yet, I'll be taking some questions from the chat. It could be about VGCW or whatever else you want. I won't be answering every question, I'll pick the ones that I want to answer. But before I do, I just want to quickly mention what will be going on in Season 9. So I've decided that Season 9, or not really just Season 9, I decided that we're going to have what I'm going to call the Winter of Tournaments. I realise it's not quite winter yet, but autumn doesn't sound as good. It's just one of those fake seasons like spring or fall if you're in America. But yeah, we're going to have the Winter of Tournaments, and I'm sure some of you guys have already figured out what that means. The first tournament we're going to have, which I think might be the first episode of Season 9 actually, and we're going to have a tag team #1 contenders tournament, just like what Bryn had. And I'm going to steal one of Bryn's ideas. We're going to have the whole name changing colour thing, because I think that was an awesome idea what Bryn did. And in that tournament there will be all 4 of the new tag teams, as well as 4 of what I think are the most popular tag teams in the division at the moment. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. The damn it, Bryn. The second tournament in the Winter of Tournaments is going to be Star Road 2. When Star Road 2 happens, I'm not sure yet. I'm sure someone is going to create a thread on the forums, a theory thread and all that sort of thing. If you want to, go ahead. So yeah, we're going to have Star Road 2 at some point, probably during Season 9. So we will force me to get a new challenger that I will not pick. It will be down to you guys. But at the moment I'm still deciding how I'm going to do the voting system, because when we did the third and final tournament of the Winter of Tournaments, will actually be the entirety of Season 9, because the official name for Season 9 is going to be the Great Tournament 2 Turbo. And I'm sure if all of you guys have seen the Great Tournaments season, you know exactly what that means. God, chat, I love you guys. All spamming Turbo, why not? So that is everything I wanted to discuss on my little notepad. And I hope you guys are satisfied with some of the answers I've given, because I didn't want to do this whole stream just to tell you guys this is what I'm doing, this is why I do it. I wanted to take as many suggestions from you guys as I can to improve the show. So I really hope you guys are satisfied with the answers that I've given. Right, yes, Wyvernell, let's have open question time. Yeah, I'll be answering some questions from you guys in the chat. If I miss your question, just copy paste it again, but don't spam the channel, don't be silly with it. And I will answer the questions that I feel like answering. Right. Spiran says, have you ever looked into a sub button for the channel? I'm kind of shocked you don't have one. I've honestly never seen the point of a sub button. As far as I'm aware, the sub button just makes whoever subscribes to me, I think it's like a false donation of like £2 a month or something, but I don't see the reason for it. If anyone wants to contribute and donate money to me, they can just use the button underneath the stream. No one's going to get any benefits from having a subscription to me because I don't use emoticons in chat. I'm never going to have sub-only chat. I just don't see the point. So no, I don't have any plans for a subscription buttons at the moment. Maybe in the future, I don't know. Maybe who knows. Right, let's scroll down and see. Let's take some questions. Will Game Center FU come back next season? But not at the moment because Areno is in hospital right now. If I'm probably missing people's replies to what I'm saying because I'm scrolling down the chat and it's staying in one place just so I don't miss questions. Right. Let's scroll down. The YouTube recorders are really important. I wouldn't be here without them. I live in GMT +2. Watching the show is not always an option for me. For example, I watch Star on YouTube because it's... Yeah. The YouTube recordings are actually done by, I think, John Dude Bro, White Panther, and some other guys. But Bryn and Toe, I think, it's just them two, it might be more. They're actually working on getting a YouTube channel with every single recorded show on it. So people can subscribe to that and every show will be there. And you'll know exactly where to go if you miss the show. But there'll be more about that once we've got things up and running more. Kai Sauron 49 says, when do you think you will switch to 2K15? It depends. It's honestly not down to me. If you've ever seen the credits after a show, you will notice that 99% of the creations are made by the guys from the NWTO. So, and at the moment there's so many versions coming out of 2K15. Will it be on the PS3, the PS4, the PC version, which may or may exist? I don't know. So I probably will switch to 2K15. At the moment I want to do it on the PS4 version because obviously it's got more features and better graphics, all that sort of thing. But it depends on what the other guys can do, and well, it even depends if the other guys are willing to. They might not want to create characters for me. I'm not sure. Honestly, if the PC version comes out, that's probably the favourite because of all the mods, and it'll be wide open to all different kinds of things. But at the moment I don't know. I really don't. Basil, would you consider rarely bringing in surprise guests again? Like Ron Burgundy walking in at random, he got lost, I don't know about random guests. Maybe. Not really giving it much thought. Are you thinking of updating the battle music? I've got hundreds upon hundreds of songs, and I've recently, you might have noticed in the last few episodes, me playing a bit more variety of music, because I've now organised the battle music a lot more. I've got, I can't remember what the folders are called. There's a folder called Casual Battle, Normal Battle, Boss Battle, Final Battle, where before, if I clicked on a song, I wouldn't know what it would sound like. It might be a bit too epic for that silly little fight going on, or if I've got a big epic battle going on, it might be a song that's too silly. So I'd before I sort of played it safe and played songs that I recognised the title of, but now I've got it organised a bit more. You should see a lot more variety coming in. Will we see any more money in the bank these next few seasons? Probably. I don't see why not. Are you completely sold on the Nightmare Gabe name? A couple of my friends have suggested Commissioner Gabe Strong. No offence, but that's a terrible name. I'm going to stick with Nightmare Gabe, I'm sorry. Right. Why Vanille writes, what's made you change your mind about Sabin? I never thought you'd actually bring him back. I've always liked Sabin, actually. I never wanted to get rid of him. I just hated the chat spamming numbers. I'm okay when they're, you know, everyone's saying something that's makes sense, but when it's just a single number going all the way up and down the chat, it's gone beyond the point of having fun. It's just annoying to me, but we've now fixed it, so Sabin only has one suplex, and that's his finisher. Because in the game, Final Fantasy VI, he didn't do suplexes all over the place, he just had one suplex, so that's now what he got, and that's his finisher. Oh, the chat's new. The chat's moving on its own now, so let's scroll down a bit. It's moving too quick. Why not have more than why not have one or two more pay-per-views per season? Because just don't want to do it anymore. It's how long's a bit of string? Have you ever considered VGCW merchandise? Hell no, I hate that shit. Like, oh, I used to be subscribed to the Game Grumps, and then they'd advertise like, oh, you can buy a Games Grumps shirt. I don't want a fucking Games Grumps shirt, fuck that. No, I'm not going to do merchandise. It is cool, the thought of people wanting to wear things from our show, but I can't sell out like that. I'm not going to. The chat's moving so quick now. Alright, let's find some more questions. Bazar, I love the bullies, and I want to know how you feel about them during last season when we see more of them. Yeah, they're not broken up, they're still going to be around. Whether they'll be in a feud or a plot, I don't know yet. That's yet to be decided, we'll see. But they're still together. Belmont Legend says, have you ever thought about having general characters interactions? There was a time in 13 when you made Dante Barra Hagar into interact. I thought that was so cool. I think it'd be cool if Son of Face just had a good time together, talking or whatever. It'd be cool if we saw it again. I thought I have done that a few times. I'm pretty sure I have actually, but yeah, I can always throw some more of that in. There's no reason why not. Little cheeky winking smiley face by Bryn. That's always welcome. The matches, do you use the power rankings or just pick them at random? I don't actually use the power rankings at all anymore, Babe Lincoln. I don't consider them to be canonical to the show anymore for a certain reason, but sometimes it's just who hasn't fought someone else for a while. Have we not seen these guys pair together, or these guys might be fun to put together, these are both popular, any reason. Sometimes it is literally just random booking. Did I say may or may exist, or whatever? Right, it's a big one. This may be a little completely unfair because it's partially down to core makers as well, but one small thing that's always bugged me is that characters from PC games don't get a lot of love. It's basically... This is actually something I don't understand. Why does it matter what console they come from? It could be all Nintendo characters if the characters are interesting enough. It's like when people say, why are there so many Capcom characters? They're not even from the same game, they're just from the same company. It shouldn't matter. If the character's interesting, then there's the character. I don't see a reason to pick a character just because we're lacking characters from a PC game. The Gwybox says, why was Ron Burgundy even in? I forgot about that. I was just watching the Anchorman the night before, and they started singing that Afternoon Delight song, and it made me laugh, and I think I was drunk, I'm not sure, but I just thought that'd be funny. Half Naked Costanza says, have you ever thought of a plot that involves all the fired retired corps coming back and demanding their jobs back? Yeah, I have thought of that actually, and it wouldn't work. Because if I brought them back just for one season, people would be unhappy and they'd want to see more of them. And if I did keep them, then, you know, I fired them for a reason, because they weren't getting over with people, so either way it seems like a lose-lose situation. Right, let's try and find some more questions. Oh god. I think everyone's dried up on questions. I'm still scrolling down. If you got any more questions, try them out there. Okay, everyone's asking about the DK rap. I hate the DK rap with a passion. The reason it was actually, I know everyone's going to say, hey, why did you put it in there if you dislike it? As a lot of people know, this stream that I've created was inspired by a guy named Antraxo's stream. And that's the entrance theme he had for Donkey Kong at the time, so it was just like a nod to that. And I have changed people's themes before when they've disliked them. Like, what did I change? I changed the Angry Video Game Nerds back. I'm changing Sabin's back because no one likes the rap version. But I'm sorry, I can't stand the DK rap. It's just got to a point where I don't want to listen to that shit anymore. I know a lot of people like it, but well, I'm budging on a lot of things for you guys, but that's one thing I'm not going to budge on. Fuck the rap. It's not coming back. I've already answered that question, Squirrels, or there will be more VGCW versus WWE matches. Shadowplay asks, are we just going to forget about Kazuya? Yes, we are. Any word on when Season 9 is going to start? Not anytime soon, maybe in a few weeks, maybe 3 or 4. But at the moment I don't plan on starting anything yet. Who does the methodical pace benefit? I don't know. Are you okay if me and some of the guys on the forum did a podcast? You can do whatever you wish to, Fusion Man. I can't promise that I'll promote it or, you know, say that it's official or anything like that, but you are more than welcome to do anything you want. If you want to talk about VGCW, go ahead. You are more than welcome to. How wonky is the AI for cage matches, and is that why we rarely see them? cage matches flat out just don't work anymore. It seems that as soon as a character gets knocked down, the other character will climb the cage, the other character will get back up instantly. They're never down long enough for them to get out of the cage, so the cage matches always go on for way too long. Sometimes they don't end, so unfortunately, as much as I would love to do cage matches, I can't. Have you and Bryn considered any crossover plot with the women's division? Actually, I do want to bring something up with Bryn regarding a very, very small crossover in the next season, but that's with his permission and consent, and I guess you guys will have to wait for the season to start to find out what's going to happen. But it's not going to be anything major because there's not really much interaction that they can do since they can't fight each other. How about VGCW versus EDBW? I don't want to do that at the moment, because even though we call EDBW the developmental division, that's only by name. You're sort of meant to believe in your head that those wrestlers are, you know, they're not as good as the guys on VGCW and they're still developing, even though it's just down to AI. You're just meant to, you know, pretend that in your head. So if we have a bunch of EDBW versus VGCW matches and the VGCW guys keep losing, it will just shatter the complete illusion, so it wouldn't really work. Remember the Duke versus Snake Cage match? Hell yeah, that was awesome. Why aren't there any valets or female managers? I don't know actually. I've never thought about that. Maybe I'll look into that. I'll see if there's any characters on the roster that have, you know, female friends that stand out, and maybe. We'll see. It's a good idea actually. That was Bad Dude Steel with that one. Have you ever considered characters from Time Splitters? Never played it, so it's hard for me to bring in characters that I know nothing about. Jeff Gerstmann is Sami Zayn. Bazza fears how good he is. Actually, Jeff Gerstmann is someone who I'm not actually ever going to bring into VGCW. I have nothing against the man himself personally. I just don't want any more real life people in VGCW at the moment. Bazza, what would you say to letting John Dubrow write plot for people in EDBW? No, I don't actually want any plot in EDBW. There's already the male and female divisions. I don't want people to feel they have to catch up to too much. EDBW is good the way it is. It's just solid matches. You can just watch it. You can jump in at any time. I don't want it to be too much for people to have to worry about. There are many feds online on YouTube, Twitch, etc. How does it feel to be one of the most watched, if not the most watched? That's pretty good actually. It's nice to know that something I've created is getting a lot of attention. I mean, even when people on the forums are angry at me and say like, oh, I hate the way you did this and that and the other, it just shows how invested they are in the show and that they like it enough to get annoyed about it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, what Bryn said. If I had female valets, then people are going to bug Bryn to add them into the show. Bazza, you once said that you don't always get into the matches that much, but which would you say is your favourite match in VGCW so far? Oh, I don't watch the matches the same way you guys do. When I've got a match going on, I'm constantly looking at the playlist to find what I'm going to play next. I'm looking at the media player to make sure the song isn't about to end. I'm looking at the chat to see reactions. I'm looking at the stream to make sure it's not lagging. I'm looking at my list of matches to make sure I've got what's going on. I can't watch it the same way as you guys, so unfortunately I don't get to enjoy VGCW. I remember the most excited I've been for a match is actually from the women's division. I can't remember who she was fighting, but it was Cammy versus someone, and it was, I think, the only time that I've got to watch the women's division and be on Skype. So I was chatting to the guys on Skype while watching it, and I think the chatting to people while watching actually adds to the experience, so that's probably why. But yeah, I guess that's my answer. Cammy versus whoever it was. Let's find some more questions. Remember when everyone holding the belt was a real person? Yeah, I remember. How about occasional EDBW matches on VGCW to promote developmental brands like WWE recently did? I'm not sure, to be honest. That's a lot of faffing around and fighting against the servers just to download characters just for one episode, and maybe, but probably not, to be honest. Better's waifu. Of course it's Cabby. Right. Oh, I'm right at the bottom. I've finally caught up with the chat. So yeah, I'm with you guys now. So if you've got any more questions, please throw them out there. Dude Bro could pre-record the matches sometimes. Maybe. But people generally don't like pre-recording matches, so I don't know about that. I think we may be done. If anyone's got any questions, don't be afraid to throw them out there. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Are you worried that the updated realistic graphics will prevent characters like Airman or Donkey Kong from returning? I wasn't, but I guess I am now. Shit. Nah, the core creators we got are amazing. I'm sure they'll figure something out. They've done loads of shit we thought was impossible. How excited would you be if the PC version comes out and cores are shareable files? That'd be fucking awesome, Flat Luigi. I would love that. I seriously hope a PC version comes out. The sad thing is, everyone in the world was hyped for Smash Brothers. I'm the only person on this planet who is more excited about 2K15 than Smash Brothers. I really want to play that and just play Universe mode. I know, there's something wrong with me. Where's the disciplinary committee? I actually addressed this on the forums, but I don't want to go into it again. I'll give you the short version. Is they were just there to be introduced as background characters. They're not going to be involved in every single storyline because then no one else would get involved. It was just because before we had Security Guard A and Security Guard B, and who the fuck are they? They're not video game characters, are they? So I just wanted to switch them up with characters that were actually related to video games. The same reason I'm now referencing Dr. Mario. It's just to make it more video gamey. Is that a thing people say? Whatever. So yeah, the disciplinary committee are still there, they're just in the background somewhere. Can Tingle have Sting's entrance in 2K15 so we can yell, "It's Ting"? No. 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 What are your thoughts on some people asking for another Gonzalez run? To be honest, I think the reason why I got rid of Mario is because I didn't like his core. I would be open to Mario returning, but then again that's the problem of a previous person who was already on the roster returning. And that's gonna get people angry at me again, so I don't know. How do you feel about WWE right now? Fuck, it's boring. I don't know how they can have so many interesting and talented people on the roster, but make the show so dull. NXT's better. Any more questions? Have we got anything else? you into wrestling in the first place? I used to watch it as a kid, back in the Hulk Hogan era. Watched a little bit of the Attitude Era before I sort of, you know, grew out of it because it's uncool to like wrestling and that sort of thing, all that rubbish. And I got back into it when a friend of mine, who I talked to on Steam, he linked me to CM Punk's Pipe Bomb, and I watched that, and it's CM Punk that got me back into wrestling. I just thought he's an interesting character, and also once a year me and my mates get together and we watch WrestleMania, and that's the only wrestling we ever watch, just WrestleMania once a year. And I guess that Pipe Bomb coupled with WrestleMania, it sort of slowly rekindled my interest in it. Is there any superstar you hope never wins the belt? I hated it when Bruce had the belt. Fucking Bruce. Ugh. Also Hagar. I didn't want Hagar to have the belt. Fucking arsehole. But yeah, it's not down to me. It's always been whoever wins, wins, and I just have to deal with it. I'm not going to start favouritism booking. Do you watch any of the animes? I don't watch anime. I used to watch Dragon Ball, and I watched a little bit of Naruto, but not really. Do you do all the special cutscenes yourself, or do others help you? I think I've done them all myself. I've had a few promos on YouTube from Potatosaurus. I think some other guys maybe, but generally all the cutscenes on the show are done by myself, 100%. And sometimes they take fucking hours to make. Ugh, but yeah, I'll make them myself. Is there anyone on the roster that you're considering to cut or have plans to cut? Yes, there is. Not going to say who right now, but there definitely is a few people that I think can be released. But I think it's going to be a phase out thing, like when we go to 2K15, there'll just be characters who we don't bother creating and they'll just be phased out. Maybe. Or maybe before we'll have a farewell match for them. People seem to like that. Bazza, are you aware of your large following in the gay community? I'm aware of my large following in the furry community. Shit, there's so many furries that follow me. I mean, I'm not like judging or anything, but it's kind of unusual. I don't know. Bazza, how did you get the idea to the music for the Falco versus Ezio match, which was amazing in Endgame 8? That was a very, very last minute decision I made. I think it was half hour before the show was to start. I just had the idea and I just started frantically downloading music as quickly as I could. I don't know what gave me the idea, just something to come up, I guess. Belmont says, let's have a repeat of people just disappearing. Okay, fine, you said it. Blame Belmont. No farewell match. Didn't see the comment after. Okay, Bryn. Questions are getting a bit silly now, so maybe it's time to wrap things up. Bazza, what do you fear most about the creation suite in 2K15? Lack of story creator, I guess, is the biggest fear. Right, I'm going to take a couple more questions, a few last minute questions, and then we'll wrap this up, because I think we're starting to wear thin on decent questions, thanks to Bryn. So, yeah. If you want to get a question in, do it quickly. Cleveland Rock. I think someone's recording this, so if you want to watch the recording, then do that, because it's going to answer a lot of questions. Who's your favourite in Super Smash Bros? Ness. I love Ness. Bring back the Game Grumps? Nope. Never. Burning Rage is going to get more playing time for Segata's matches. Maybe. As I said earlier, I just hate it when the chat spams a single letter or number. It just annoys me, so we'll see. Are we going to get more random game streams from you? I don't think people really like it when I stream games. I don't blame them because I'm quite a boring streamer. I don't really talk much, and I'm not like one of those YouTube guys that constantly make shitty jokes, and I can't stand those fucking people. So I do stream games sometimes, but I think I enjoy games more when I'm playing them offline. So we'll see, maybe. It's not really been a priority for me to stream games really. Right, I think we're going to wrap things up then, guys. I think I've answered hopefully all of the major concerns people have for the show, and I really hope you guys are satisfied with some of the answers I've given and some of the changes that I've said that I'm going to make. The criticism thread is still open on the forums, so maybe you can comment on what I've spoken about on this stream in that thread. I'm going to do the best I can to make the show more interesting and entertaining. So thank you very much for attending. It was really nice to see so many people come and give in some questions, and yeah, look forward to season 9, which again, as I said before, will be the great tournament to Turbo. So thank you very much, guys. Are you going to do this again? Maybe. Not anytime soon. Maybe in the future, if things go to shit again. But thank you very much, guys. I hope you're satisfied. I will talk to you all soon. Goodbye.